Hi there. This recorded session is to help you with the concepts of opposites and absolute value. And we're going to start with talking about opposites. Now, when you are on the number line, for every number on the positive side, there is an opposite of that number on the negative side. And vice versa. Every number on the negative side has an opposite, the equal number of units on the other side of 0 on the positive side. So when I have negative 3, 1, 2, 3 here at negative 3, the opposite of that would be 1, 2, 3 units away on the positive side. So here is negative 3. The opposite of that, and we denote opposite with a negative sign, is here at positive 3. Now, the opposite of that comes right back here, and that's going to be negative 3. And then the opposite of that again, flipping back and forth one more time, is going to be back here at positive 3. So basically what's going to happen is every time you have an even number of signs, this pair of negatives will cancel each other out and give you a positive. Here, this pair of negatives canceled each other out, but you still had this negative right here. Here, this pair canceled one another out. This pair canceled one another out, and you are left with a positive. So the basic rule of thumb is, if you have an even number of negative signs, 2, 4, 6, or 8 negative signs in front of a single term, that number is positive. If you have an odd number of negative signs, that number is negative. So an even number of negative signs, the number is positive. An odd number of negative signs, the number is negative. Well, that's about all there is to that. Now, absolute value is defined as the distance a number is from the origin. So on a number line, when I look at this number here, and I put that on the number line, this number is 1, 2, it's 3 units away from 0. So the absolute value of 3 is 3 units. Now, when I look at negative 6 on the number line, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units away from 0. And so the absolute value of negative 6 is 6 units. Now, what the overall effect of absolute value is that it's going to take whatever number is inside those absolute value bars, those straight bars, and it's going to make it positive. So when I look at negative 3.2, and I'm taking the absolute value of that, I'm just going to go positive 3.2. Now, since 0 is 0 units away from 0, the absolute value of 0 is still 0. Now, 0 cannot take on a sign that is neither positive nor negative. So it's always just 0. And because absolute value is defined as a distance, and we can never travel a negative distance, distance is always positive. Hence, absolute value is always positive. Okay, so in this lesson you are going to evaluate some expressions. I'm going to ask that you would evaluate whatever's in parentheses or absolute value bars before you look at the overall sign. So when you look here, you're going to do what's in the parentheses first. So 8 minus 2, that's going to give you 6. And then take care of the sign on the outside for negative 6. Okay. For this problem over here, you're going to do what's inside the parentheses first. Square brackets are just another type of parenthesis. They're usually used as secondary parentheses when parentheses have already been used in a problem once. So they could just go parenthesis, 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 but they put the square brackets in to differentiate that this one starts here and ends here. It's just a convention. Don't treat it anything different. So I'm going to simplify what's inside those square brackets first. The opposite of negative 1 is a positive 1. And then I'm going to do that subtraction. Okay. When I look at this one, I'm going to simplify the signs here. And then I'm going to simplify this absolute value. And then I'm going to do the subtraction. So the opposite of negative 9 is a positive 9. The absolute value of negative 2 is a positive 2, and then I'm going to subtract 9 minus 2 for 7. Okay. Now in this case, the absolute value of 6 is 6. The absolute value of negative 6 is 6, and then I do the subtraction here for 0. So I hope that this has been sufficient to help you with any questions that you might have on opposites and absolute values. Please note that when you have multiple signs in front of a number, you want to evaluate the overall sign of that number, whether it's positive or negative, get it down to a single sign. First, when you have an absolute value symbols, and if you should have an expression inside absolute value bars. It's important that you do the operation first. You do the 3 minus 8 first so that you can get down to a single number to evaluate. If you were to evaluate each of these numbers separately, say for example you went the absolute value of 3 and then plus the absolute value of negative 8, you're not going to get the same answer. So this is not going to work for you to take the absolute value of individual terms. You have to actually do the operation first and then evaluate to get this answer. Okay, that's just a side note. I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions, please shoot me an email or stop into a live Class Connect session.